A little bit of rainfall. As a matter of fact, there are some showers across parts of South Louisiana. A little disturbance, we were talking about this yesterday, that has been moving out of Oklahoma, Arkansas, and through the state, has at least produced some rainfall. Not much. We need a whole lot more. And it did develop a few showers across parts of southeast Louisiana, but most of that was generally off to our west. What little rain we were able to squeeze out in southeast Louisiana didn't amount to much of anything. A few showers around Baton Rouge, kind of right along I-10 toward Gonzales, but falling apart. And looks like maybe a little bit of rain developed just south of Picayune, but otherwise we have been mostly dry. Our models indicating maybe within this upper instability, a few spotty showers later this evening, and maybe even a few during the day tomorrow, but our rain coverage is going to be fairly limited, and we're not expecting much in the way of any rainfall from this disturbance, maybe as we head toward next week. We'll talk more about that in just a second. A little bit more passing cloud cover is expected through the latter part of the evening and night tonight, so we'll call it partly cloudy skies overnight. At the moment, at least looking out toward downtown, a lot of sunshine. Current reading is 92 degrees. That is the high for the day, and the humidity did come down a bit today because of that northwesterly flow aloft and a northerly wind at the surface at around 7 miles an hour. So we're not yet getting into that, I keep saying this, the fall-like feel. And today officially ends summer. Tomorrow is the first day of fall. So what does that mean? Absolutely nothing. We're 92 degrees for the last day of summer, probably about 92 degrees for the first day of fall. Now, the humidity did come down a bit and will continue to drop during the overnight tonight, so that should allow our overnight lows to get a little bit milder than we were this morning. This morning was 80 degrees for a low at Kenner, and we were in the 70s or upper 60s on the North Shore. And so with the drier air, I do think we ought to see our overnight lows getting a little bit lower. If you didn't know, we had what was PTC 16 last night. As of the 10 o'clock advisory, did become Tropical Storm Ophelia. Thankfully, this is not going to last for very long. And also notice the abundance of dry air. You've got this dry air wedge, which is really limiting the strength of the storm and preventing this from becoming anything really much stronger than it is at the moment. Still getting into the heavy rainfall from the Outer Banks inland into eastern North Carolina. Wind field will be quickly collapsing as the storm moves inland overnight tonight. And then what is left of it will continue moving toward New Jersey. And what's interesting, though, is that some of the models kind of take this feature and try and recurve it back, what is left of it, into the open Atlantic water. Still too soon to know if anything to try and reform, but there is really no immediate threat to the East Coast as this maybe tries to loop back. Also, the area that we're going to be watching probably in the long term is still just an area of investigation. This is Invest 90. Doesn't look like anything very well organized at all at the moment, just a big cluster of clouds. As we get into the next several days, though, we're likely to see a little bit better organization, and models are in decent agreement in the short term. The long term, there is a bit more of a spread. However, the spread keeps this storm well away from the islands, away from the Caribbean, and eventually turning into the open Atlantic, a trend that we have seen with many storms that have developed out in the eastern Atlantic, kind of keeping them over the open waters and not a threat to land at all. And hopefully that one, too, will be the case. Models, as we've been saying, next 10-plus days are keeping the Gulf and the adjacent waters quiet. That puts us to the start of October. Once we get to the 15th, that usually is when we can breathe that sigh of relief. So we're almost there, not quite to the end of the season, but there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel.